Now we'll delve into the realm of virtual private network, commonly known as VPNs, and specifically focusing on setting up OpenVPN within the pfSense environment. Now let's start by understanding why VPNs are crucial in today's digital landscape. Virtual private networks provide a secure and encrypted connection over the internet, ensuring that the data transmitted between 2 points remain confidential and protected from unauthorized access. Moving on to OpenVPN, it is one of the most popular and trusted VPN protocols available. It's an open source in nature combined with robust security features make it preferred choice for many users. With OpenVPN, you can establish secure connection between remote users and sites on your pfSense firewall, creating a private tunnel through which data can safely travel the internet. In this lecture, I'll guide you through the process of setting up OpenVPN within your pfSense environment. You will learn how to configure the necessary setting, generate certificates and keys, and create user profile for secure remote access. By the end of this session, you will have knowledge and skills to implement OpenVPN effectively and improve the security of your network infrastructure. So we'll be doing step-by-step installation of OpenVPN server on pfSense, and I'll also show you how you can create the VPN client configuration and how we can connect VPN client with the VPN server. Here I'm on my pfSense, and in pfSense on top, here you can see VPN. Of course, there are multiple options available. There is IPsec, L2TP, and OpenVPN. So let me click on OpenVPN, and you will see here the OpenVPN server is not yet configured. But before we configure the OpenVPN, we need to create the certificate. Of course, major reason why the certificate is required is, of course, authentication, then is security, then is trust, and another is control. So you will have a better control on your configuration on the VPN when you're using the certificates. We'll create the certification authority first of all, then we'll create the server certificate, and then we'll create the client configuration. Then finally, we'll be connecting the client with the server. So OpenVPN configuration will be, of course, done. OpenVPN server configuration will be done. I'll show you which ports has to be open, how the firewall configuration has to be done accordingly. So I'll be going here to system, and here you can see certificates. And in certificates, if you see, first option that you see is the certification authority. Right now there is no certification authority, so we will be creating our first CA or certification authority. So I'll click add, and here I'll be giving it a name. This will be, for example, SyncBricks certification authority. I will name it SyncBricks CA. Method will be create an internal certification authority. Here I'll be going down, and internal certificate authority is the common name, and I'll name it, for example, SyncBricks CA. Country will be, I'm living in Oman, so I'll be using Oman here. State will be Muscat, city will be Muscat, organization will be SyncBricks, organization unit will be training, and save it here. So now your certification authority is saved. You can see here this is internal self-signed certificate. Now what we need to do, we need to, of course, create the certificate based on the certification authority. So certification authority is already created, which will be creating the certificate. Here you can see it will be expiring 26th April 2034, which is fine. So I'll be just going here to certificates, and I'll be creating the first certificate. I'll sign the certificate with the certification authority, which is CA, and this will be again create an internal certificate. Its name will be SyncBricks Cert. First we created SyncBricks certification authority. I'm creating SyncBricks Cert. Certification type is server certificate. I'll create a server certificate here. So you can give the host name. So this will be server IP address. I'll be using pfSense.syncbricks.com, and I will save it. Here you need to give the common name and save it here. Now we have created certificate here, and this certificate detail is here. In case you want to edit, you can edit that. Here are the public key and private key which is created. So I'll simply save it here. As our certificate is ready, we created the certification authority, then we created the certificate. Certification authority and certificates are ready now. Let us do the OpenVPN configuration now. So we'll simply go here to the VPN and we'll click on OpenVPN now. You have an option to run the wizard, which will be step-by-step guide, but we'll not be doing wizard. I want you to understand in depth. So we'll be using OpenVPN. Right now there is no server added, so this one will be working as a server. So I'll be creating add. So I'll give it a name. It will be Amjad Home, for example. A server mode will not be peer-to-peer. Peer-to-peer is used to connect two servers together. So I'll be using a remote access user authentication. This will be the one which we'll be using, and it will be choosing local database. I'll show you how to use the local database. Interface will be WAN, of course, because WAN is giving the internet access. From internet, people will be trying to access the local network, so WAN will be fine. Local port 1194, this is the default port which OpenVPN is using. OpenVPN server is mainly using default port 1194. In case you want to keep it highly secure, for my production server, I'm using a different port. You can choose a different port here, but I'll be using 1194 here. Then is the certification authority. I already used the certification authority which we created. Here is the server certificate. We have created the server certificate. We'll be choosing from the list SyncBricks cert. This is the certificate which we created. Here is IPv4 tunnel network, which means that what will be the IP of the clients connecting to the VPN. So as we are already using local network, which is 192.168.240.0/24, so we can create another network which will be predominantly used for the VPN connectivity, because the same range of IP addresses should not be given to the VPN clients. You can create the subnet within the same network range, but I will recommend you to use any class. I can use 192.168. For example, 250.0/24. IPv4 tunnel network will be used here. So I won't be using IPv6 tunnel network here. And this is fine here. IPv6 local network, allow compression, it's fine. Dynamically, I want the client to get the IP address because we have given this range now. So I want the VPN client to get the IP address dynamically. It will be subnet, one IP address per client in a common subnet. It is fine. Ping setting, it is fine here. DNS default domain, so I want to use that. And here I want client to get the DNS, which is 1.1.1.1 and 8.8.8.8. And I also want the client to get the 192.168.240.6. Of course, it will slow down the connectivity because now client will be also accessing the DNS from here. So it is up to you. I will leave it blank. This will help you if you are having any local DNS configured for different services and servers. So if you use this local DNS, so client will be able to access that as well. All other information, I don't think I need to make any changes here. This is fine. I'll click save. Once the server is created, of course, by default, this port 1194 is not open to the public. So what we need to do, we need to go through firewall and we need to create a new rule here. And that rule will be to allow VPN to this particular server. VPN port is UDP, as we have already seen. I'll take you back to the VPN setting here, OpenVPN. It is UDP port 1194, which is on the WAN interface and on this WAN address. So what we'll do, we'll go here to firewall and we'll create a rule, add the rule here and pass the traffic on WAN, IPv4 and protocol is UDP. Source will be any, and I'll go down here, destination is WAN address. On the WAN address, if any traffic comes, it will allow to OpenVPN. So I will choose OpenVPN here, 1194. This is fine here. And I don't need to do anything here. And I'll just apply the changes. So here in the firewall rule, you can see that one firewall rule I have added already. Destination is the WAN address. So from anywhere, when the traffic comes on the WAN address of 1194, it is allowed. So by default, the traffic is allowed here. As we have already seen that we created the VPN. If I go here to VPN and OpenVPN, OpenVPN is now created. And if I go here to status and OpenVPN, so you will see that OpenVPN service is running right now. Even if I go here to status and services, you will see that OpenVPN service is now running. One thing that you need to do is that this OpenVPN is now created as an interface, which will be available here in the interfaces. If I go to interfaces, right now you can see WAN and LAN. These are two interfaces, but I'll click on assignment. So you will see here that there is one more network port which is available with the name of OpenVPN of Amjad Home. I'll simply add this now, and now you will see that the interface has been added. OpenVPN interface has been added. Here it will be available in the interfaces now. So opt1, I will give it a name, OpenVPN interface, and I'll just save it. Enable the interface and apply the changes. That's it. You don't need to do anything here for the time being. We'll be using the firewall rules. You will have an OpenVPN firewall rule as well. So I want to allow the traffic from the OpenVPN to any network. Source can be the OpenVPN interface and destination can be any. So I will allow this rule as well, which means that any traffic coming from the OpenVPN, I will allow it entirely on my network. So on my network or any other VLAN, this will be allowed here. Now we'll be creating user. That user will be having access to the VPN, as we have already created the VPN, but right now there is no user configured. So I need to create a user. For that, I'll click on System, User Manager, and I'll create a new user. Of course, I can add the groups also. So I'll show you it's better to create a group. There are two user group now. One is all user and one is admin user. To admin user, all the privileges are assigned. You can see here assigned privileges are all. So I can create another group here also. For example, Open VPN users, and the scope will be, of course, remote. Description will be Open VPN users. I'll save it here and I'll edit Open VPN and I'll add the privileges from here. So what will be those privileges? There are various privileges which are available. Add the Open VPN. I can choose for the time being all, and instead of wasting the time, I will simply add it, but you can of course create all the privileges. So I'll save the changes. I will go down here, save the changes. So this way this user group is created, OpenVPN users. So I'll be now adding a new user and I'll be assigning that group to this user. So this user will be, for example, I will create this user here. Username is Amjad Ali. Expiration, I will leave it blank. The account will never expire. So I'll add this user group over here. Now this user is member of OpenVPN, and save it. Now you can see that one more user has been created, which is OpenVPN user. But if you go here to VPN, OpenVPN, you will see here server is ready and a user is already configured. Here you can see user manager, the user is configured, but I need to now export the VPN setting here. Or how can I get this VPN configuration? There is an easy method. There is a package which is available. So we will be going here to settings and package manager and click on available packages. It will retrieve the list of all the packages which are available. I'll be simply looking for OpenVPN and you will see OpenVPN export pre-configured OpenVPN client configuration. So this is what we are going to install. I will install this and confirm. This package will be installed. We'll wait for this. It will take a while. This is in fact the flexibility of pfSense, that you can have various packages installed, and I'll show you in detail how you can install various other packages to get the best out of open source firewall and pfSense in fact. So here it is now installing the package. We will wait for package to get installed. Here you go. So package has been installed. If I see the installed packages list here, OpenVPN client export is available. Now if I go back here to VPN and click on OpenVPN, you will see client export option is available now. So I'll click on client export. I of course want to export Amjad Home, UDP, and these are all the clients. It can be either install it for iOS or Android device. Even you can download the bundle which will install the OpenVPN client software also, and it will also install the configuration which is pre-built into it. So both the methods are fine. You can even download the client configuration and you can install the OpenVPN client and you can add the configuration into that. That will be better option because that way you can have multiple configurations whenever you want. So what I'll do, I will go to OpenVPN client download, and here is OpenVPN client. This is the official website of the OpenVPN. So I'll be downloading this current version, which is version 13. Install the OpenVPN client, accept the license agreement, install. Now once it is installed, you will see here license agreement. I will be clicking OK. Here I don't need to do anything right now. I will simply go here. You will see it, OpenVPN is available here. I can open the app or I can import the profile. So in order to download the profile, I'll click on most clients profile here. I'll download this. So this is the configuration, and I can rename the configuration here. So it will be, for example, Amjad-home. So this is my home configuration. So what I'll do, I will import this configuration into OpenVPN app, which is here. I can even open the app and I can directly import the file from here. I can upload this, or I can even right click here and I can import the profile. Both ways it is same. So I'll be uploading the file here, which is OVPN. So this is my configuration, and username was Amjad, and I will save the password. I will type the password here and connect. So I am now connected to my home network. So if I go back here to OpenVPN in status, and in status, if I see OpenVPN, and this is the client which is connected right now, and the virtual address provided to this machine is 192.168.250.2. In case you want to disconnect, you can disconnect from here, confirm disconnection, and here if I go back and connect to the OpenVPN profile which I connected, here you go. I'm now connected to the OpenVPN, and if I refresh this again now, so my client is connected. From here now I can access any service that I want using the OpenVPN profile. So this was all about creating the VPN. We have first of all created the certificate, so we went to the certificates here. We created the certificate authority, then we created certificate for the server, and once we created the certificate for the server, we went to the VPN. We created the server configuration. This is all the details of that server configuration, the name of it, and how the remote users will be connected. And once it was done, we created the user, and then what we did, we went to the firewall and we created our rule. The rule that we created for the OpenVPN was for the WAN address. Finally, what we did, we went to system, package manager. So we installed OpenVPN client export package, which helped us to easily export the client configuration here using the client export option. And these were the configurations for the user that I created. There is no certification required for this user, only the user ID and password. With the help of user ID and password, the user will be able to connect. You can also use the certificate for the user to connect using the certificate. And if I go back here to status, so finally we'll be able to check from the status if the client is connected or disconnected. If I now disconnect the OpenVPN from here, confirm, and then optionally you can also go to the interfaces and you can do the assignment of OpenVPN interface to this particular network. Here the firewall rule that we need to create is that we will go here to rules. From OpenVPN you will be choosing the network, and network will be 192.168.250.0 and /24. This was 24-bit network that we already created in the VPN configuration, and destination will be any from the VPN clients. I want to give access to any destination, and here we go. We save the configuration. Now all the VPN clients from the source IP with the IPv4 protocol, TCP or UDP, even I can choose any protocol here, TCP, UDP or any. So whatever this network will try to access from the OpenVPN to any network, it will be passed. So this way you can allow the VPN clients to access your network. So these are the configuration that we have done. And now if my client will be trying to access using OpenVPN, they will be able to access everything on the network. Here I'll show you one more thing. Suppose this is my configuration. If I try to open this in Visual Studio Code, and here if I open this home configuration, you will see that the remote IP address, it is assigned the gateway. My gateway was 192.168.100.100. This was the gateway IP address. Of course, I have already used the telecom service provider, and their IP address is different. So what I have done, I have used the DNS server here, and now this DNS server is right now configured. So I'll be opening and adding this profile here to be able to access using the public network. Right now, if you see, I'm connected using my iPhone 5G connection, and this way I'm not, of course, able to access pfSense right now because this is not the public network right now, and I'm not able to ping anything. This is ping 192.168.240.1, and this was the VPN profile which I added which had the local IP address. I'll be importing a new profile here. I'll upload the profile, browse the profile, and here is Amjad public IP. Using that, I'll be now accessing user ID, and I'll be entering the password here, and I'll give it a name, Amjad Home Muscat public IP, and connect. Now it will try to connect to that network. Now I have got connected back to my network. I'll just open this again. The web user interface, of course, I'll be able to access all my local devices now with the help of VPN, and few configuration that I want you to be aware of in the VPN in the server section, which networks you want to expose to the VPN clients. So here you can mention all of them. If I go down into details, this is the tunnel settings, and here you will see a number of concurrent connections. For example, I will have 3 or 4 devices from where I want to allow this connection from. I will mention this, and here you want to have inter-client communication. So allow communication between clients connected to this server. This is fine because I might have phone and laptop connected through VPN, and I want the communication between both those devices also to take place. So I will allow the communication between the client connected to this server. So which networks I want the IPv4 to access? I want to access 192 dot my local network, in fact 192.168.240.0/24, and I also want to access 192.168.100.0/24. So I want these both networks to be exposed using this OpenVPN connection, and here the settings are saved now. Everything is fine. So all these settings are now fine. If we go back here to firewall rules, we have clearly mentioned that this firewall OpenVPN TCP and UDP ports are enabled. So these are the configuration that you must be doing it on the firewall and on the OpenVPN. I can access any service on my VPN client now. I can access my home network from the internet using the secure tunnel, OpenVPN, and all the services are available. Here you can see this is my public network, and from public network I'm able to access. So this way I can add multiple devices to the VPN, and I will be able to access that. So this was all about creating the VPN. Let us continue to next video and understand what else we can do in the pfSense.